What's happening?
Well, not too much. We just, we're ending up the 4th of July weekend, Paul.
It is.
Yeah.
Independence Day weekend.
Yeah. It fell on a good day for the working crew.
Yeah, it did.
On a Friday.
Get Friday off.
So not that it made much difference to me, but.
In the long weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's been a little while. Been a couple
weeks, hasn't it, Paul? I think, yeah. Matthew Cam was our last.
It's hard to want to be inside doing some of this stuff when it's
right
nice out.
Yes.
I practice what I preach.
Well, that's a good thing.
Same thing with editing videos and stuff. I got a pile of stuff to work on, but every time I go to do it, it's nice out and the kids are outside playing. Right,
you don't want to waste the waste the weather.
We'll wait for a rainy day.
Yeah,
to do it. So
although we have had a lot of rain, I was talking to my neighbor at the camp, and I know I had to drain the boat. This past week, I drained the boat out twice, and there was a lot of water in it both times. And she said she had 2 inches of rain in the rain gauge. So,
but we get it all at once.
Yeah, it's right. Just heavy thunderstorms.
We've had a couple storms where
lots of
showers come through, but it just opens up.
Yeah,
just
lots of water.
So
no shortage up here right now.
No, it's good.
So
it's good for the farmers and
so good for the fish.
Yeah. So today's topic, we're going to talk about some camping stuff, remote camping, because I've gotten a lot of emails and I get a lot of emails from moose hunters looking for places to camp, ironically in Zone 2. And it's been a few years since we've spent a lot of time in Zone 2, which we'll get to in a little bit. It's one of the places we used to go fishing quite a bit. It had gotten so busy that congested.
Yeah.
So we don't really spend much time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was trying to think where it was. Yeah. I know where you're talking about. Yeah.
And then I also got an email from a guy and I sent you a copy of it.
Yeah, I read it. That was very interesting.
Yeah, he's new to camping in remote areas, big woods. And had a lot of questions and was kind of almost second guessing himself a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and like, is it just inexperience? Because he had a couple trips that didn't work out. So we'll touch on that in a little bit. But first, I want to talk a little bit about fishing because we had some fantastic fishing. Yeah. I put one video out and I got a pile more content to go through. Yeah. Because I don't think we had a bad night that 90-degree day. Yeah. The last day that we
fished a new pond.
That we were fishing. Yeah. There was just no activity. Whatsoever on the surface.
No.
There was a lot of activity on the pond.
Yeah, wildlife.
God. Yeah. Had a moose on one end, 2 deer on the other end.
Yeah.
It was that was nice.
Yeah.
But besides that night, we've had fantastic fishing.
Yeah. We did, Paul. Yeah, numbers of fish and stuff. Good numbers and
nothing
real
huge.
Big. No.
No big.
No.
No trophy fish.
No. But it was beautiful. I mean, you take those evenings on the pond and, it's just beautiful. There's another interesting thing about that, Paul, every night we fished, there was never anybody else on any of the ponds we fished. We were the only people on the ponds.
Yep.
I think for both trips. Yep. I don't think we saw another fisherman while we were fishing on any of those ponds. So that makes it, I mean, it's nice that, you're out there by yourself.
You get the show to yourself.
We do. Yeah.
But yeah, saw lots of wildlife.
Yeah.
Saw a beautiful buck.
Yeah.
And the fishing was fantastic. So more of that to come out. But I'm actually probably bringing the kids up camping next week.
Good for you. Yeah.
They're itching at the bit to get out there. Lydia has a new fly rod.
She wants to try.
Yeah. Whether the fishing will be all that great. Yeah. We'll find someplace.
Yeah, the water's still cool, Paul. I went for my first swim 2 days ago. Nardin had some work she wanted me to do in the water there, and so I thought, I brought the soap out and took my morning shower right in the lake. So it was the first time I've been fully immersed in the water, like what I would consider swimming. So,
what's the water temp?
I'm not sure. One of our neighbor, he was up up to a neighbor lake, and I think he said it was mid-60s, which is cool.
Oh,
but that was a deeper lake, a bigger lake, and our lake would have been a little warmer.
But still.
Yeah, it was cool.
Usually you start getting into, at least our lake, getting into July. It starts to feel like bathwater.
Yeah, we've been talking about how bipolar the weather is, and that's continuing because tomorrow is only supposed to be like 62 tomorrow for a high temp.
All right.
So we're mid-80s today and dropping down 20 degrees tomorrow. Supposed to be in the low 60s tomorrow.
It happened before we went to Boston. We went down to visit my sister. And we had a couple days there. One day it was like 54 or whatever.
Right, for a high temp, yeah.
Yeah, it was freezing.
Yeah.
And then we get down there and they were calling for cold weather there. And then all of a sudden it changed.
Yeah.
Like 2 days before because we wanted to go to the beach one day. Yeah, we had a day in the mid-upper 80s. Yeah. Humid, hot. And so, in Maine, they say if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes.
Yeah, it'll change.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And anytime you have a lot of rain, and that's going to keep the water temperatures cool. Yeah. So, yeah, it was cool. I mean.
So, well, right now, 4th of July, that's usually prime hex hatch.
Yeah, I didn't see anything on our lake. I didn't see, I didn't see one coming off. I kind of wanted to get up and try it on one of the lakes this coming week, but I got so much to do. I don't know if I'll make it.
Yeah, you're putting in a new kitchen.
Yeah, we got a new kitchen, and we got my mom's committal is
that's the 18th though.
That's the 18th, but I got a lot to do before then. I got to finish cleaning out the house before the family comes home, and I got to get a few things ready at the grave site, and I got we got 2 or 3 appointments this week with the internet at the camp, and then upgrading the internet.
We're gonna have internet at the camp. That's
hasn't happened yet, but it's scheduled for right off. I think Friday up there, the 11th. So we'll see how that goes.
Right. Well, let's talk about remote camping because I grew up doing it.
Yeah, we take it. I read that article and so I had a hard time relating to it because we grew up doing it, Paul. And
yeah, like, I have to take a step back.
Yeah,
because I can see because you just like going 60 miles in the woods with no sort of contact anybody. I don't even think twice about it.
Exactly.
But I could see where somebody who's never done it, that could be quite intimidating.
Yeah.
Especially, and I was also thinking of generational things. So I know what life was like before we were all really connected with internet, cell phones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I have been on both sides of it. Newer generations, generations after me, really have no
comprehension of what life was like. Yeah.
Not being connected to everybody.
Yeah.
Like not being able to get a hold of me was normal when I was a kid. We were out playing.
Yeah.
And there was really no way to track someone down other than call other friends' parents' houses or something like that. Yes, you kind of take it for granted. And I was kind of just thinking in my head. So there's a lot of things that came up because I think one thing, like most of the videos we put out, it looks like everything's uneventful. And 99% of the time, there's nothing that ever happens that's unfortunate. But we have had some.
Yeah, but you prepare for those situations like bad weather that he was talking about. You prepare, and one of the first things you do for that preparation is good shelter. We have good shelter. We have good equipment, and
I guess we'll back it up just to preface the email. I guess he's from away, wanted to do some remote camping in what we call the big woods of Maine. His first trip got canceled or he had to turn around because child broke her
Right.
collarbone.
Yeah.
And then the second trip, the weather turned nasty.
Yeah.
And it was the road had gotten soupy where he wanted to go camping. And he made a decision he drove all the way there.
And
and
ended it. Yeah.
Kind of thought about it and then said, I probably ought to go home.
Yeah.
Because it was, and it's not like he was kind of beating himself up a little bit about it.
Right.
You know, like kind of feel like a failure or maybe
Yeah.
you wimped out or something like that. So being prepared is a big one. But it's also, I think we'll just touch on the biggest thing is mentally prepared.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you have for gear, stuff can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it would be easy to do if you're not used to it. Your mind can get the best of you.
You can.
And you think, like, you just start thinking all kinds of bad stuff's going to happen. But in reality, like, I don't know. I have a mindset where I'm like, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
I'm not going to starve to death.
No.
You can go quite a while without eating.
Yeah.
I got 2 legs. I can walk. I can, you can, if you think clearly, even if you don't know exactly what to do in every situation, you can come up with ways to fix the issue. I mean, I was thinking of, and sometimes our bad experiences were actually our own fault.
Yeah.
So if we go back, one story I'd shared with him was, do you remember the trip we did? My cousin Jody was new in the family, right? Yeah. I must have been 8 or so.
Yeah,
9?
that wasn't much fun. But I mean, we were never in any danger other than
but
just
it was
uncomfortable,
miserable. Spent the night in the pickup,
lack of sleep and stuff.
And that was our own fault.
Yeah, it was.
So it was going to be a quick trip one night.
Yeah,
do some fishing, and we had a camper.
Yeah,
and you were just like, well, and this is the forecast, and this is, just being
right.
Probably what you shouldn't do in Maine because we were just talking about the weather. The forecast said it was going to be nice.
Yeah.
So I think you just were like, we'll just grab the
tarp and we'll sleep in the.
Well, no, you grabbed my pop tent.
Yeah.
Not even a waterproof tent.
Yeah.
But it was the easiest thing.
Yeah.
For space saving
But there again, it was a poor piece of equipment.
That's why
the
we
tent we have now. If that would have been
good.
No problems with the tent that I have now.
But it wasn't that we didn't have the gear. We just chose to be a little lazy.
I took the lazy way out, and it cost us a night's sleep is what it cost us. So we were uncomfortable.
I remember that night. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep hardly
at
all. So we get on the pond. We're fly fishing. So these fly fishing only ponds. And a wicked bad thunderstorm rolled in. And I just remember, and these are high elevation ponds we were fishing.
Right.
And they have real bad thunderstorms.
Yeah.
And it was hailing. We canoed over to the shore and it started to hail. Great big.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not quite golf ball size. They were big.
Yeah.
So we get up and under some heavy cover. I remember sitting under the trees. Lightning was hitting across the pond.
Yeah, there was a lot of lightning and stuff.
And I think I finally let it up. Did we go back out fishing?
I can't remember, Paul, but I'm sure we probably didn't have rain jackets either, with us at the time.
No rain gear.
We didn't have rain gear.
Nope. So I think we tried to go back out fishing anyway, there was just one storm after another kind of kept rolling through.
Yeah.
So we get back to the campsite and I remember it's dark. So we're going to have beans and hot dogs.
Yeah.
And you threw a tarp over the canoe rack.
Yeah.
So our plan B was we're going to sleep in the bed of the pickup.
Yeah.
Because our tent, which wasn't waterproof, was completely swamped.
Yeah.
All the tarp had a few holes in it.
Yeah. Yeah. That didn't work either.
I remember sitting there. You were cooking hot dogs. Water dripping right on my face.
Yeah.
So our last, I guess our plan C was 3 grown. Well, I wasn't grown, but you guys were.
3 men in the front.
Me in between you guys.
Right. This wasn't an extended cab pickup. This was a regular cab, just to
sleep upright.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a long night.
Yeah, that wasn't my only time I did that. That happened one other time.
You got stuck in the ditch.
I got stuck in a
bridge was
washed out road.
Same spot. Pretty close, wasn't it?
No, that was down to that was down off in the Jack Mountain Road.
Okay.
Yeah, Round Mountain Pond.
All right.
We had camped at Round Mountain Pond. So that was quite a ways from. Yeah. We ended up walking. The truck got stuck, 2-wheel drive truck, and we ended up walking out until we found somebody, and they went in and pulled me out of the washed out. And the culvert was washed out, and I slid into it. So yeah.
Yes. Back up that trip we did with my cousin. That day we drove out when we packed up.
Yeah.
You could see tornadoes had touched down.
Yeah.
They had some confirmed tornadoes. So that was but we were fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As far as
no,
being in any danger, we weren't in any danger. It was just
no.
like
I don't remember being worried or
no.
Overly concerned. I just remember
a
little annoyed I couldn't fall asleep.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. Yeah.
Inside of that pickup, all steamed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, and you also get. So I've had moose hunters reach out too. And like I said, it's been for some reason zone 2. A lot of guys have reached out to me out of zone that have permits in zone 2 and for this upcoming year. And, when it comes to like a good camping trip, sometimes people can ruin your experience as well. Not just the weather and stuff like that. So I typically try to stay away from the congestion.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of people. In zone 2, there's a spot that we used to go fishing a lot. Well, it was where we spent the night in the pickup.
Yeah.
That, so many people going up there now. It's getting kind of
and not outdoorsmen or anything, not fishermen anymore. It's kind of a party place and the party crowd and stuff. But I was thinking about that gentleman who wrote to you, Paul, and I think the best way, it's too bad, and you don't want to necessarily hire a guide to go on a camping trip, but if you knew somebody you could go with that was experienced in that stuff, or
could help keep you just kind of calm.
Well, and they've run into everything.
The right
and
gear.
They have the gear. They have good gear, and they know the ins and outs of camping and
No, like one big thing is knowing your area.
Yeah.
So like he was going to one campsite, but there's tons of campsites.
Right.
There's always
alternative.
Yeah. There's always and knowing what the weather and road conditions are like, you can kind of make a call on, I'm going to avoid this campsite this year because of this, or they're cutting over here and it's going to be busy. I don't want to go there.
Right.
But yeah, knowing the area and oftentimes help's not that far away.
Right.
There's sporting camps kind of dotted all over the place there. And you can get gas at most of those places.
Yeah.
Any sort of help that you need. I think of a trip we did a few years back, and it's a totally different ballgame when you have kids. Because now when you're by yourself, you're a little more, whatever.
You're gonna
now I've got 3 kids to.
You can rough it a little more but you're not going to do that with the wife and 3 kids. You're not going to take the chances that you might if you were alone. So,
and we always harp on, having good gear, quality gear. But even then, there was one trip. I had a brand new pickup, and it was just one of those circumstances where it was my fault with the tires. It was a new pickup, and I hadn't put good tires on it yet.
Yeah.
So I'm still running tires I shouldn't have been running in the woods, and I was driving the way I shouldn't have been with those because it was late at night. It was 9:30. I wanted to get in there, and with those tires, I shouldn't have been going down the road 55 miles an hour.
Right.
And I got a flat tire. I've never gotten a flat tire before.
Yeah.
And I'm prepared for it. I've got plug kits, and air compressor, but truck full of kids, gear. The last thing I wanted to do at 9 o'clock at night was dig out an air compressor. And I hate to say I did this, but I had a can of Fix-A-Flat.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't have much further to go. I'm like, I just want to get to the campsite.
Yeah.
So this was just kind of a quick fix to
Band-Aid on
to get me in there. And it worked. It got me to the campsite. So I get up the next morning, we're bird hunting. And because we had the camper way in there. So I get up the next morning to see, do I want to take the spare off? It's good to have a spare.
Right.
Like, the tire's holding air. I'll drive it. And just around the corner from where we're staying, 3 or 4 miles, was sporting camp. And I'm like, if I really needed to get some air in it quick or something, I could pull in there, and I'm sure I could. So I chose to, I'll ride it on the tire with the Fix-A-Flat and reserve my spare in case I need it. Well, we start bird hunting that morning, and then my truck starts running weird. And I'm like, what's going on? And it was like everything on the dash was flashing.
Yeah.
And I looked at Lacey, and I'm like, what the heck? I think the truck had like 4,000 or 5,000 miles on it.
Right.
And so I was like, well, I don't care. It's under warranty. If it blows up. It was shaking. It was doing all kinds of stuff, running terrible.
Yeah.
And so we hunted that day, and I just ignored it. And we get back to the campsite that afternoon, shot some birds. And I just was kind of like, I don't want to deal with if my truck quits. I've got, at the time, 2 kids. One was really small. And then Lacey, and it's like, well, we'll go home a night early.
Yeah.
So even like, you figure a new pickup, you should be fine.
Right.
But come to find out, I get home, and the stinking thing, the spark plug wires kept falling off it.
Yeah.
I called the dealership Monday morning. Told them, and I could smell gas, like unburnt gas coming out of the tailpipe. It smelled really gassy. And it just wouldn't go. I was like, what is going on? And so I called the dealership. They knew right away. He said, go outside and pull up. Of course, there's plastic on those everywhere.
Beauty cover.
Yeah. Get under that and just look at your spark plug wires. It's sure enough. I think there was like 3.
Oh, wow.
That had fallen off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, and it was an issue with the design.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons why I ended up getting rid of the truck. But
yeah.
Beyond that, but
yeah.
So yeah, even the best gear you can.
Right.
Stuff happens.
Yeah, but since then, Paul, you and I, and this is the very first thing that anybody going up there that we would suggest is the tires that come on a half-ton pickup. We take them off immediately. We put on 10-ply tires.
Yeah, and
that is a huge thing right off the bat. If we're gonna, because I've had flat tires up there.
It's never had a good time.
No. I was fortunate. The one that we were coming out from fly fishing in the summertime, and it was a slow leak. I'd put a rock in it. There again, going, you're cruising right along some of the major logging roads, and I'd put a rock in it, and it didn't go completely down until I get in the driveway at home. So I was fortunate there but it was, so number one, and having 2 spares is not a bad thing.
No.
But if you're not going to have 2 spares, to have like you say, a compressor and a patch kit that
keeps you,
keeps
you in business the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that to me is the first and foremost, right off the bat.
Yeah.
You want to have good equipment to get you there. 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And good tires under it.
And so someone had commented on one of our videos, and he'd kind of noticed kind of ubiquitously through the woods. He's like, I've noticed a lot of outdoors men and women have switched to Toyota Tundras and Tacomas.
Mm.
He goes, why is that? I'm like, because I was tired of other brands of pickups,
Right.
replacing ball joints,
Right.
having just weird stuff
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. They tend to be very, very reliable. And that's,
The newer ones had some issues, but
yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to speak to anything after 2021.
yeah.
Yeah. Anything before that, the Gen 2 Toyotas and, they were well-built vehicles and
Yeah. Never an issue.
yeah.
Yeah. So something good to get you there. And then the first thing we do when we set up camp is, well, besides looking around, because we're always looking to see if there's any trees that could fall.
Exactly. Yeah. You always want to check to see if there's any hang.
There was one, our last camping trip.
There was
no way to get away from it, but it looked like it was hung up there pretty good.
Yeah.
But you still were like, yeah, it's awful windy tonight.
Yeah.
If that tree stays.
Yeah. It wasn't the best case scenario, that's for sure, but we didn't see much of a chance of that coming loose.
But it wasn't ideal.
And it wasn't a huge tree. It wasn't like something that was going to flatten you, but probably
it'd wake you up.
Probably, I wouldn't want it landing on me through. The tent wouldn't slow it down much, that's for sure.
No,
but
it might break your back or something. But
yeah.
But then we always set up a tarp or some sort of cover.
Yeah.
And that's just a comfort thing. Like if you can keep your stuff dry.
Yeah.
Keep yourself out of the rain.
Yeah.
Morale is so much better.
Yeah. A tarp over the picnic table, your cooking area and stuff.
When you get cold and wet.
Yeah. No fun.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can eat and be dry.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about back in the day, if anyone's ever read any of Thoreau stuff, camping then was a different beast.
Yeah.
I mean, they threw down some boughs and a wool blanket was your.
So when you paddle
tent.
for 3 days, there's no, okay, I'm going home tonight.
No.
You're in it. And for the long haul. And I thought about that. That was one of the things I thought about, just exactly that, Paul, when you had told me that this gentleman, and I thought, man, back in the day, they were committed.
Yeah.
And they did not have the equipment.
No.
And life was there again. He had the right person with him to survive and to make do. He had a Native American guide with him that I'm sure they could live in anything out there.
Yeah. Remember him picking a camping spot and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
He'd be like, no, we don't want to camp here. It's too wet.
Yeah.
It would have been tons of mosquitoes and stuff. Yeah. Just all the little things.
The little things that, that they, for thousands of years, the Native Americans, that's what they did to survive. So
yeah,
he was very, very smart to
hire a good guide.
Yeah.
It's funny. They would talk about their feet were never dry.
No, the forest was different.
The forest was different.
Yeah.
Hadn't been cut. And the forest floor was just all moss.
Right. Yeah.
And of course you'd portage a lot from different waterways. And they said their feet were never dry.
Yeah.
They're always walking through the wet forest floor. So that would have been fun.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
It would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I like that disconnected.
Yeah. There were no air mattresses, Paul, and fancy sleeping bags.
Arbor Vitae.
Yeah. Yeah.
A bed of arbor.
Yeah.
That's what he would
say.
Cedar. Yeah, cedar best. At least it smells good.
Yeah.
You can't say it's the most comfortable, but
yeah.
Yeah, just a wool blanket over the top of your.
Yeah.
That's it. That's your waterproof.
Yeah. Sleeping
shelter.
Bag and yeah.
Must have been a little bit of liquid courage there to
yeah
help you get through the night.
Yeah.
Anything else beyond gear that?
No, like I say, first of all, and we have, and we, like you said, Paul, we didn't always have or take the best gear, but
No, and you end up paying
you
for it.
refine it over years of doing it, and you camp and you say, well, you know what, this would make the trip a lot more comfortable, and so you get this and you get that, and pretty soon you've got all the right gear that you need, and you know how to use it, and you're comfortable.
Like a cot. You wouldn't be amazed how big of a difference it makes to get just off the ground.
Just off the ground.
Your sleeping bag doesn't get as clammy.
Yeah.
That evening wetness.
Yeah.
Stays much drier. You don't have to be as particular about picking out a nice level spot.
Right.
Because you're off the ground. A cot. It seems like it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but it really makes a big difference.
So
to get off the ground.
The place that we had camped the last 2 times without a cot, you really couldn't camp there, Paul.
No, you'd be sleeping on rocks. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean big rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you really couldn't camp there without a cot. So.
But yeah, mindset is always kind of boiled down to.
Yeah.
You just got to keep because I can go through all kinds of camping trips. Like there was one, I did a winter camping trip. And the worst thing I think you could do is panic and try to leave when like you shouldn't.
Right.
And we had a really cold day. And the guy I was with, like, I think he was getting a little concerned.
Mm.
And we were fine. We had fire going and it was good. He's like, maybe we ought to go out. And it was nighttime now at this point in February. And you had to get all of our gear from the campsite across the cove of this lake. And then from there, you had to snowmobile out through the woods to a logging road and then snowmobile to the pickup.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, we are comfortable right now. We pack everything up. And then something happens, a snowmobile breaks down.
Right.
Or we drive a stick into something. So now we're stuck in the woods.
Yeah.
All of our gear's packed up. I'm like, that does not sound like a good idea.
Yeah.
I know you'd like to get out, but I think we should just hang out and it was fine. We'd get up in the morning, packed up, and everything was good. And he had said when we get back out to the truck, he's like, yeah, that probably wasn't a good idea to leave at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
That could have got bad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be wandering through the woods in February.
Yeah. I think, and you touched on that with this, the gentleman that had the problems, communication. All people, I don't think anything of it because we were raised, we had a camp and we went to the camp every week and it was close to a town, but yet we never had a phone. We never had a phone or any type of community. Yeah. I'm talking back in the 60s and 70s and 80s.
Even when I was a kid, there wasn't a phone up there.
There was no phone there. So the entire family went up there, my mom and dad and all of us. And,
it's great.
And we never had communication and never thought of it.
No.
Never thought of it. My dad never wanted to put a phone in. I mean, and my parents both had elderly parents that, something could happen or whatever, but, or they would go up alone, and as we get older, we would stay home, and something could happen there, and often did. And And I don't remember.
I won't point any fingers, but
I don't remember one time in decades, Paul, where there was an emergency that somebody had to get a hold of them.
Yeah, it all worked.
All those, and we went every week to the camp. And I don't ever remember a situation come up that somebody had to get a hold of us.
Yeah.
All those years.
And nowadays, it's like, if someone can't get a hold of you, it's like, what's the deal?
Yeah.
Because everyone's so,
right.
Like, there shouldn't be a reason why.
Yeah.
But when we go out fishing, we have no connection to anybody.
Right.
And I oftentimes wonder, I'll get a bunch of emails and stuff, and it looks like I'm ignoring people, but I just,
you're
I'm
out of touch
for 3 nights.
You're
4
going
nights
for a few days. Yeah.
I'll catch up when I get back.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I say, so being raised that way, I don't think anything of it.
Yeah.
And we always went to deer camp, and there was no cell coverage there, and we didn't have cell phones anyway but when I started going to deer camp, and we just went, and if an emergency came up that they would contact the warden. And that did happen one time there. Somebody's parent had gotten sick, and they sent the wardens in and told one of the guys we were hunting with that is
oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Joe is, I think it was his mom that had gotten sick, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think he left. I think Joe came out. I ended up. I don't think it was serious, but
did it warrant leaving deer camp?
Well, he did leave, so that was his call. I don't know how. I can't remember the situation in its entirety, but
I'll joke with Lacey. If someone's not dead,
yeah,
don't bug me.
Yeah.
No,
but so I've done that a lot in my life, been out of contact, and that's always just been part of it. You accept that, and I still to this day in the last month, the 2 times that we went up camping, I never even think of it.
No.
I never even
and
think
Lacey knows. I tell her, she asked me where I'm going.
I don't think of I guess I just don't think of worst case scenarios. I'm not.
Well, I don't feel like I'm going to get in a situation that's going to bother me.
Yeah.
Like that instance with Lacey. She's like, well, what would you do if the truck blew up when we were up there with the kids? And oftentimes, like when I go with the family, it's later in the year. Fishing isn't that good. There's no bugs. Yeah. I'll throw in running shoes and stuff, and I'll do a workout.
Yeah.
I'll continue doing I'll go for a run or something like that. And I remember I told her, I'm at sporting camps, like 3 or 4 miles down the road.
Yeah.
I'll go for a run.
Yeah.
And
be there in no time.
Well, and to me, it's like, well, win-win. I get an exercise in today, and I can run 4 miles, no problem. Around the corner. It's not a big deal. But I guess that's just kind of putting a good perspective on it.
Yeah.
I don't feel that anything's going to happen that can't be
dealt with.
Yeah. Reasonable.
And you're right. It can be. Might cost you a little money, but
yeah.
I was listening to one podcast, and they were talking about trucks breaking down in the woods and wrecker calls out there, and they were they
were backed up
four figures to get a wrecker in to get your vehicle out and stuff, over $1,000 or whatever.
Weren't it like 5 trucks deep or something? One guy was. He's like, I got 5 tows or whatever. I'm like, holy crap! A lot of vehicles.
Yeah.
Breaking down, and I wonder if that stems from. That's one thing that. Well, I look at the moose hunt when we're up bird hunting or whatever during moose season. You can tell when you got moose hunters from away that really don't know what they're getting into.
Mm.
We've seen a lot of vehicles in the woods that I'm just like, boys, they have no real idea what, like a Porsche SUV.
Yeah.
Or a Mercedes G-Wagon. I can remember low profile tires and like, man, I think I don't want to be 30, 40 miles in the woods on a street designed SUV.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh yeah, from away, get a moose permit and here they are.
Yeah.
And I think like the North Maine woods has kind of been addressing that a little more. If you notice in some of their magazines and stuff, they really got a section lined out on what you should have with you.
Right.
And what to expect. Like be prepared for the worst. And
because
hope
you're not going to be able to call a local garage, and you're going to have to deal with it on your own, and it's an inconvenience. So like I say, right off the get-go, before the vehicle ever gets there, Paul, you and I, we put 10-ply tires on,
and knock on wood, I've never had a flat tire with.
No.
So it was never even an issue.
No. You certainly reduce the risk, Not to say you can't or whatever, but it's all about reducing the risk as much as you can. And
one of the guys at work did. I think he had the same tires as I did at the time. And I think he was kind of disappointed, but I think it took a big chunk out of the sidewall.
yeah,
But I think there was construction going on, I think, on his road. Or I think he struck a chunk of metal. Like something really, and he even said, he's like, man, I must have hit something.
Although shale can be
bad.
awful sharp, and
This was, he doesn't go in the woods though.
At
All.
He didn't go in the woods.
No, this was done on.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
And I think he kind of got a bad taste in his mouth about the tires, and he went to a different brand, and he went back to the BF Goodrich because the brand that he bought, I think he had like 11,000 miles on him or something. Hardly any miles. And one tire was completely bald on the side. And he's like, what is up with that?
Yeah.
They'd been rotated. It was a new truck.
Yeah.
It just was, they did not wear.
No.
And they were a pricey tire. I forget the tire, but he said he was going back to BF Goodrich. He was.
Yeah. So that's, I had a neighbor that was asking me that. She spends a lot of time. She loves to go almost every evening scouting for moose all summer long. She likes to go out, and she was asking me that exact same thing. You know, what should I run for tires? And I told her, well, this is what we run.
Yeah,
we run BF Goodrich, and I told her I had KO2s and you have KO3s, and I don't even think they make the KO2s anymore, Paul.
probably not. It's probably going to be phased out like they did with the original KOs.
Yeah.
I like mine actually ride way better than the KO2s did.
Yeah.
Way better.
Yeah. She, and I said, I mean, you can buy any tire you want, but I'd buy a heavy duty tire, and I prefer the BF Goodrich, but
you can worry more about the hunt than you can worrying about getting a flat tire or having something get messed up.
Yeah. Another thing too, Paul, that's good to have, and you carry it and I don't, is a MERS radio there to.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, people where they're whenever they're logging and hauling out of the woods, a MERS radio, and I personally know people that have been seriously hurt, you know, hitting a log or the logging truck hitting them while they're out hunting and stuff.
You think of some of the roads that, like, I can remember going in on the connector road, cutting across, and there's spots on that. They were logging heavy on that.
Yeah.
When you come to corners and you see, it looks like a racetrack where the gravel's all banked up.
Yep.
You're like, and I can remember there's some spots where I'm like, if I meet a log, I have nowhere to go. There was an embankment, like on the inside corner. Say it was a right-hand corner, me going in. They don't take the corners wide.
Nope.
They own the road. They're going to be right in the middle or hugging the corner.
Yeah.
And like, if I meet a truck here, I can't put it in the ditch. I don't have a ditch.
Right.
I'm going to just fingers crossed that you don't meet a truck there. And
the same lady, she'd run into a situation where she got a scare from a logging truck, and I told her, I said, well, this is what, you know, and this is something I don't, you know, I'm telling her this, and I don't have one, but I said, my son has a MERS radio, and he turns it on, and
it's great because it gives me ample time to, there's a side road. I'm just going to pull in here.
Right. Wait for him to go by.
Wait for him to go by.
Yeah.
So super convenient that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super convenient.
Doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen that and you're not going to win up against a logging truck. No. You're going to come out on the short end of that.
Yeah.
Encounter.
Just be a grease spot on the road.
Yeah. So
yeah, when a lot of these guys, they'd ask me about camping, I'd brought up I like places that aren't very busy.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't like people.
Well, that's kind of the reason we go there, is to get away from,
and we had a bad experience. Yeah. Was it last year?
A couple of years ago
now, because we didn't go because the kids were quite bothered by it.
Traumatized by the situation,
And I'll explain what happened. And this is why we hadn't been back to the spot in a lot of years. A lot of riffraff going in there. when it started getting busy. And I don't have any time for that. I go up there to get away from the craziness, not add to it. And it was just getting out of control. So we hadn't been there in 4 or 5 years. So we thought, well, let's bring the kids out and we'll do some hiking. And later in the year, fishing's not that good. So we go in, woods are quiet, not a lot of people in there. First night was great. Older, I don't think they're that old, probably my age. Couple comes in, and we picked a campsite that was a long ways away from everyone else because just to we have a dog.
Right.
Don't want to bother anyone and want to keep to ourselves anyway. So they come in and quiet, nice, just the two of them. They set up camp. And then that evening, about, I don't know, 5 or 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I forget now. Car comes in. Radio blaring. One guy by himself singing to the top of his lungs. And our dog, it's a lab, her reaction was really weird. The hair stood up on the back of her neck. And she let big, deep barks out of her. Just, we were like, what's up with you?
Yeah, because she's really good with people.
She is. And she's a big baby, but she can look intimidating. She just got back from the vet. She's 90 pounds.
Yeah, we knew she was close to 100.
And she's a big dog.
She's a big dog.
She's tall. Everything about her is big. And her bark is big.
Yeah.
Too. But she's a big wimp.
Yeah, she's a nice dog.
God. So anyway, she wasn't acting normal. So this guy pulls in next to the couple beside us. And it was quiet there for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, he just starts singing at the top of his lungs. And inappropriate stuff. I got 3 kids there.
Yeah.
And Lacey's just kind of looking at me. I'm like, what the heck is this all about? This went on for about an hour or so. And then it would kind of subside. So it got to be about 9 o'clock. Kids had some Jiffy Pop on the fire and stuff. And we'll get ready for bed. Geez, they're brushing their teeth, and right behind our tent, a chainsaw starts up. Now it's pitch dark out, and he's sitting there running a chainsaw. His campsite's a long ways away from ours. He's right up beside so I hollered at him, and I don't know if it made any difference or not. I think he was on something.
Yeah.
So he ended up going back down the road. He's running the chainsaw again. And then he starts really lighting up, singing and going it, hollering. So the kids they're crying.
Yeah.
Lacey's like, well, what are we going to do? So we had 2 vehicles. And I'm like, well, let's load the kids up. We'll figure it out. I'm not going to pack everything up, leave it here. And so we had the kids in the vehicle. And Lacey was concerned. She's like, we can't go home because the car seat's in her car, or in my truck, actually, because Bo had ridden in with me. We had her car, her 4Runner. But she's like, I'm not going back to the campsite. And I'm like, well, I'll go back and get it. And I have a real problem with one person that's going to disrupt everybody else's, And if it wasn't me with family and kids, if I was there with some buddies or something, or if it was a bunch of guys, I think it would have turned out a lot differently.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't
care of the problem.
Probably wouldn't have been very good.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, we'll go find another camping site and we'll sleep in the car. So here we are, 5 of us and a dog. We're basically like a ridge over, but it's one campsite by itself. And we put the seats down. I think Lacey reclined the front seat, and me and the kids and the dog all laid in the back.
Oh my goodness.
And we slept there. So I wake up, it's like 5:30. Didn't sleep much at all.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Better than I did the night we slept in the pickup with Jody.
Yeah.
So I get up, and Lacey wakes up, and she's like, well, let's go back and get our stuff. I'm like, all right, we'll go back and I'll pack it all up. I said, you guys can actually just
Head
get
out.
the seat and go home, and I'll pack it up, put it in my truck, and
Yeah.
make my way out. We pull in. He is still singing and going it, hollering.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's gone all night doing this. The other couple had left. They were packed up and gone. They were right next to him, like 100 feet from him.
Yeah.
50 feet.
Yeah.
So start packing stuff up, and he ends up pretty soon. I see him walking down our path to our campsite. I'm like, what the heck is this guy doing? And cordial, and how's it going? Just going to get my canoe. And he had a canoe hidden in the woods there, and I don't know, someplace up the shore. Just him and his dog.
Yeah.
So Lacey's fuming. Like, mess with a mama.
You're right.
And-
Yeah.
And like, at this point, she was like, something's going to be done.
Yeah.
So we head out. She talked to a girl at the gate, and she's like, yeah, so-and-so couple, he was running a chainsaw at 2:30 in the morning beside their tent.
Yeah.
And they had enough and packed up. So Lacey's like, there's no way that one person's going to ruin everyone's.
Right.
So she's adamant. She's like, I got to talk to somebody. So we're driving home, and she's like, I'm pulling into the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. I'm like, oh, boys. In she goes.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was, and she, to this day, she says, I don't ever want to run into him,
Yeah.
because he really,
Yeah.
he really bothered a couple kids.
Yeah.
To this day, so I like to listen to Gordon Lightfoot, and Lydia will not listen to Gordon Lightfoot anymore because Gordon Lightfoot was playing that night that all happened.
Yeah.
But I had someone ask a while back if I'd share the story, and I kind of forgot about it. And
Yeah.
because they're like, "What was your?" Because I'm sure it happens from time, not very often.
It happens up there. We've actually
That place
run into
yeah,
it
is-
because
that's
that
why
place,
we don't go back.
That place has seemed to drawn a different type of crowd up there. That people that want to go up and camp and get rowdy and
Or just act really weird.
well, get rowdy. Yeah,
Because
and-
there was a guy up there that was like a nudist
yeah,
going around with no clothes on.
yeah.
Put a sign up warning people that. I'm like, geez, I'm
I remember
You
one
really
time
can't
we were at a
find some-
campsite
Go
and
back
you
to
were
California and do it.
Yeah, you were young at that time, and the people next to us, there was a bunch of young boys there. I say young boys, I mean they were early 20s or whatever, and they partied all night. They never stopped, and somebody joked that pickup's going to end up in the pond, and it did.
Yeah,
I think
remember
like
that.
5 o'clock in the morning, you could hear the muffler go
Blub, blub, blub,
go
blub, blub.
underwater, and the pickup went into the pond, and that they were up all night. That,
We were staying at another pond
yeah.
just over a ridge
Yeah.
by ourselves. So it was nice and quiet there. But I remember we came back, you and Uncle Mike,
yeah,
you guys didn't get any sleep
no,
because it was like they were right by the
yeah,
head of the tent.
yeah. So that place, and we've kind of avoided it for that reason.
Yeah.
Seems to be a popular spot, and a popular spot with the wrong
Yeah.
crowd. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's fine to have a good time. Or if you want to go have a good time, go find some place where you're not going to bother a family or,
yeah. We actually
Like-
dealt with that last night at the lake. There's a campground, and all day and evening they had loud music. I mean, it was so loud it sounded like it was coming from the camp right next door to us, but it's actually quite a ways away from the campground. They karaoke.
Oh, geez.
But the good part about that was, and and we understand it's the 4th of July weekend. There's a lot of things going on, and the good part about that is at 10 o'clock on the dot is completely stopped.
It was done.
They shut it down, and I
Yeah,
said,
I mean-
I can certainly live with that.
yeah.
It was completely quiet after 10 o'clock. They shut it completely down,
Yeah.
and like I said, somebody had talked to us about it and stuff. And I said, well, it wasn't bad because, you know, you it's once a year and it was shut down at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I got a good night's sleep. No problem.
That's livable.
That's livable. That's
running chainsaws around your kids all night long.
yeah, 2:30 in the morning is
crazy songs.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. And when it affects your kids, it's one thing, like I said, if it's just you and your, but when it starts really negatively affecting your kids, you take a different approach. You're a little more like
aggressive. Yeah.
And especially a mother. At least she kept saying, it doesn't stop here.
Yeah.
She goes, this isn't the end of me.
Yeah. Got a hold of the wardens, didn't she?
She did. She got a hold of a lot of people.
State police?
She talked to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. A friend of hers that's a sheriff. Yeah. All kinds of, she meant business.
Yeah. She wanted some resolution.
Yeah. That night she just wanted to get out of there. But as she thought about it and chewed on it and saw the kids, how they responded.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, this doesn't stop here.
Yeah.
So we haven't been back since.
Yeah.
Probably the kids, they always say like, we're going to go camping next week. And like, we'll go anywhere. It's just not there.
Yeah.
I said, don't worry. We'll go.
That's too bad.
Wherever we go camping, it's just going to be.
Yeah. Because you were raised going up there and, you know, I was going up and I haven't been up in a long time, but you know, and like I say, for that reason, we understand that it's changed.
Yeah.
That's
why I've probably been there twice in the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Because of that. Yeah. And the first time I'd gone back, we had kind of a secluded campsite, so there was no issue. But yeah, last time it seemed like everyone that was there had a little touch, felt like I was in an insane asylum or something.
Yeah.
Like everyone's got a little touch of
something going on. Yeah.
They're not here to, and we talk about preparedness. They're not prepared to be camping either.
Yeah.
Like rundown cars in the middle of the woods. And it's just like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Really odd, but.
Yeah. And we tried to, for that reason, Paul, I mean, to this day, we tried to get to areas that don't get a lot of, you know, there's not a lot of campsites.
Yeah,
you know, you can be kind of isolated by yourself. And I will say this, the other places we go, we do run into campers once in a while, but they're usually, you know, fishermen and they're pretty hardcore campers and
great people to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was one, I mean, our recent trip, we spent a fair amount of talking to a number of different people.
Yeah.
And great conversation.
Yeah.
You can sit there and do it all day long.
They tend to be like-minded and they're there for the fishing.
They're fishing the guides are great. If they've got sports, you run into a few. Libby's guides always seem to be pretty good fellas.
Yeah, they are.
We've, of course, we kind of frequent the same places they do a lot of the time. So it tends to be a Libby's guide, but they always seem to be
pretty cordial and
really nice.
Yeah. We've had
open to kind of share info and talk about fishing and
yeah, you're right. The last few that we run into have been that very good, very good.
Yeah.
Very social,
which is good. Cause you always have in the back of your head, you know, they're trying to make a living doing this and
they don't like to see the locals
are there.
Yeah,
it's like,
they don't like to see the locals.
But I don't get that vibe.
No, not from them. No.
So So remote camping can be a lot of fun. No pressure.
Yeah.
You just have the right mindset and be prepared a little bit.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Have good equipment. Good equipment.
Don't panic.
No.
9 times out of 10,
there's
what you're thinking is going to happen to you isn't going to happen.
Right. Exactly. There's you're going to get bad weather once in a while.
Yeah.
It shouldn't drive you out. The weather shouldn't be a factor in whether you stay or go. So if you're already there, I mean, if you're if you're planning on it and you see that the weather, you may just not want to go just because you don't want to.
I want to try to pick the best,
Right. You don't want to sit in the rain for 2 or 3 days.
the best times.
Yeah. Not because, you can't do it, just because it just wouldn't be a lot of fun.
No. And like this year, we've been fortunate. Most times it called for thunderstorms and stuff. We didn't get any of it.
Yeah, usually those are hit and miss. So they're isolated and they can hit one area, and a few miles away you can be fine.
Wind was agreeable most of the time, or we could find a spot to.
Yeah.
The day we left, I think they were calling for 40-mile-an-hour winds there one trip.
It's funny we're talking about this communication and stuff, because we had a lady staying with us at the lake this weekend, and her husband and her husband's brother went up to their camp up in the remote North Maine woods, and one of the reasons they had gone up was to hook up their Starlink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
They were.
I've avoided that. It's come up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it would be nice to work on stuff.
Yeah. And we have met people up there with Starlink.
I just can't get myself to do that.
And another thing, and I may do this, and I've kind of shunned away, and I read a lot about it. I spend a lot of time, and I'm getting older and stuff, and I spend a lot of time by myself in the woods, away from roads and stuff, and having an inReach.
Yeah, that's pretty popular.
Yeah. I may well do that. Get an inReach. Or
for me, not so much a safety thing, but man, how great would it be to be like, I got a deer down here.
Yeah.
Or I've been tracking a deer all day. I'm here.
Yeah.
Come, if you're in the truck, swing by and pick me up.
Yeah.
Because most places we hunt, there's no cell service or anything like that.
Right. Yeah. I just read a lot of, people as they've gotten older, and they feel a little better, and their wives or spouses feel better if they have an inReach on them, that they can, if something happens.
Get a message out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
or if you want to stay a day or two longer and you can't get a hold of someone, you can, so they don't worry, be like, I'm going to stay an extra night. Yeah. I'll be home tomorrow or the next day. So, and I think in that email, he had an inReach.
Did he? Yeah.
He had purchased a device I mean, but I think a little bit of experience and it'll be good to go.
Yeah.
Once you build a little confidence in yourself doing it.
Right.
And know that, I can do this. It's not going to be.
Yeah.
No reason to worry.
Nope.
You can.
Yeah. It's always, though, one of the things, and he was alone, it sounded like, Paul, one of the things, it's always more enjoyable to go with somebody else. And
misery likes company. So if you're going to be miserable, you might as well be miserable with someone else.
But, and it gets back to, most people that we know, ourselves included, they learn this stuff having gone with their parents or somebody that has experience, and you learn as you go, you know, and because I went camping with my dad when I was a kid, and so you learn and how to adjust without the conveniences of home.
Yep.
Like
simple things, I guess you take for granted, like getting water or firewood. Standing dead timber makes the best. Yeah. As opposed to getting wet stuff off the ground.
Right. Yeah. Nice. And you understand that most campsites you're at, or a lot of them, and I just read an article, and, coming down the Allagash, those campsites are picked dry.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. So generally what they do coming down the Allagash, before you get to your campsite, you scavenge some wood.
Go up on shore and get a little bit.
Yes.
Someplace.
Yes. I was just reading an article on that, and they said because trying to find those campsites have been so heavily used for so many years to find any,
usable wood,
usable firewood around a campsite is tough.
Yeah.
Is tough.
Yep.
So.
Well, good. So what else is happening?
Oh, well, not too much, Paul. I don't know. I guess I don't know if we've had a podcast since they had the moose drawing, of which.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I have that written down here too.
Yeah.
To talk about.
Yeah.
No one here got a moose permit.
Yeah, and I don't know anybody, anybody in my circle of friends that or acquaintances that get drawn. So, yeah.
But congratulations to everyone who did.
Exactly.
Exciting stuff. People really look forward to those
Yeah,
moose
that's
hunts.
a
They
big
really-
deal. And
You can hear the emails I've gotten. You can hear the excitement, and
oh yeah,
because they want to go scout. They want to go
yeah,
spend some time in the woods and poke around. And
yeah, and they should, because it's a hunt that you never know how many you can go on. It's where it's a lottery and the odds are slim that you get drawn. You certainly, if you do get drawn or a sub-permittee, you want to take full advantage of it, because it's I won't say it's a once in a lifetime, but it's not going to happen too often that you get to go.
Nope.
Not like deer hunting or whatever, where you
Every
can go
year,
every year. So yeah, I was excited last year. I got drawn, and
We've been fortunate. We've had what, one?
I've got drawn twice.
4, but 5.
Yeah,
Between
I think
me,
I've gone
you,
on
and
5, Paul. But
Yeah.
I've been drawn twice.
Mom's been drawn twice.
She's been drawn twice.
I haven't applied since I've got
No.
drawn the first time.
No. So, yeah. But, and I've been in the game since, 1980? When was I?
Yeah, it was
the early
81 or-
80s. 80, 82 was, so
Yeah,
I've been
so-
in it for over 40 years, and I've been drawn twice.
Yeah.
So,
You went a long time before you got drawn once.
2012 was the first time
Yeah.
I got drawn. So you're talking 30 years
Yeah.
of,
You basically, I think you were pretty well guaranteed that year to.
yeah. Maybe that's why I get drawn.
They
So-
felt bad. It's like, holy cow, just give this guy a moose permit.
Yeah.
God.
So now, I'll be almost 67 when the moose hunt comes along, and you understand that, and I got drawn it last year.
That's right. You got one foot in the grave and the other on a banana
Well,
peel.
not quite, but you just
I'm
understand that
kidding.
if it's 30 years to get drawn again,
Well,
yeah, that would
I'm not taking you moose hunting at 97.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You'll be shooting from the truck.
So, but I'm happy, and I'm satisfied. I
Yeah.
got to go last year, and it ended. I had moose.
Yeah, you really wanted to get a
I
lot
had
of hunting in, didn't you?
I had moose burgers yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had moose burgers on the grill yesterday, so we're still enjoying that
It's
hunt.
the gift that keeps on
The
giving.
gift that keeps on giving.
It's
We're still enjoying
no
it.
jelly of the month club, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good.
A lot of meat, a lot of planning with the moose hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had people
emailing
me about butchers and stuff. There's a whole.
Yeah, and you were talking about that. They're excited, and that's that planning part. That's as much fun as
Yeah.
And I've watched a lot. I enjoy watching the YouTube videos of the hunts and stuff, and some of them it's a really big deal. They have quite an entourage, and they go up and wall tent and camp and big groups, and
the weather can be relatively nice.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the day you shot that moose, that was a gorgeous day.
Yeah, a beautiful day.
Sun was coming up.
Yeah,
It got a little too warm during the day.
and oftentimes that time of year it does. You can
we
be
were
in
80s that day.
yeah,
wasn't
you
it?
can be in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, during the first week of the moose hunt. So yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. I'm seeing some moose, so there are some moose. Although I have heard, Paul, they had the head biologist on another podcast, and I'm trying to think. I think he said that the radio collared moose they had collared last year, they lost 70% this past winter to
no
winter
kidding.
tick. So the winter tick problem still
there.
a problem.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, I think he said 71 or whatever, 72 moose, and they lost 50, 51 or 50 or somewhere in that area. That's a huge
Yeah.
number.
I'm still seeing quite a few though.
Yeah,
I feel like I've seen more this year than
Yeah, I have. I've
previous years.
seen, and I don't know where that, where the survey was done this past winter. I don't, they do
And-
different areas, different years. And
deer. Been seeing lots of deer, and
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of grouse.
yeah,
I've seen a lot of partridge.
Yeah.
I know we were concerned about the cold, wet spring, but
right.
as soon as that left my mind, as soon as those words left my mouth in the pickup,
Yeah.
I know I started seeing birds.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And seeing chicks. So
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah. Hopefully we have,
we'll have some this fall.
good numbers.
Well, good. I think that covers the remote camping.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be stressful.
I don't want to see this gentleman from, I think
It
he's from,
doesn't sound like he's going to give up.
yeah, I don't want to
told
see him
him.
give up. It's a lot of fun and he'd enjoy it.
Yep.
It's too bad he couldn't hook up with somebody that, has some experience in it and it would make it a lot more comfortable for him.
Yeah. Just being
Yeah.
a little more at ease.
Yeah. They
That in
because,
itself is-
somebody that's done it a lot, this isn't going to bother us. We know how to deal with it,
Yeah.
with the weather. And,
If you get stuck, that's sometimes part of the fun.
yeah.
Makes a good story when you
Yeah.
get out.
Most of the campsites we've got, I can't imagine, Paul, this time of year, it raining so hard that we would get stuck in any of the campsites that,
No.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know where he would have been that there's so many campsites that are accessible in the worst conditions. I mean, easily accessible.
Yeah.
May not be much fun setting up in the rain or tearing down in the rain, but
No.
yeah, getting stuck wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. No, I can't think of any.
Yeah.
I can think of
A lot of campsites. Yeah.
A lot of campsites that are terrible to get into.
Yeah.
There's one I go to that,
Yeah. And a thunderstorm wouldn't change that.
no, it'll fold your mirrors right in for
Yeah.
crying out loud.
Yeah.
If your truck doesn't have any clearance, you're going to probably rip some stuff out from underneath it, but
Yeah.
you're not going to get stuck. You'll get in
Yeah. And out.
and out. Might scratch up your vehicle a little bit and
Yeah.
get it a little muddy. Well, good. We got to slowly start getting back into the weekly thing. Summertime, it's hard because I just want to,
Right.
I just want to do this stuff on the bad days. I don't want to be
Right.
stuck inside editing for hours. Or,
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, as fall gets closer,
Yeah.
gonna get back on schedule. And we got a bunch of stuff. Hopefully, I'll have a bunch of merch here soon.
Yeah.
I've been working on. I got some samples coming, and so maybe the next podcast we'll have that stuff. And I see you still like Joe Osgood's.
Oh, yeah.
I wear mine's in the dirty laundry.
Yeah.
It's a nice shirt.
I'm a Joe Osgood fan.
I swear you.
FBM Maine Outdoor Journal.
I swear you wear it every podcast now.
It's
I think every video.
It's my go-to shirt. So, yeah.
We're gonna have to peel it. It's like your binky. What has Joe done?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right.
Well, we'll have something good next week.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right.
I guess until next time, get outside.
It's good for the soul.
See ya.